What's going on, everybody? Today I will be giving my predictions for Memphis football in 2024. I will go through their schedule and predict which games I think they will win, and I will also predict which games I think they will lose. Memphis football will be returning a lot of production in 2024, and they are being considered a 12-team playoff contender to a lot of people, and rightfully so. But before we get into predicting their schedule, let me remind you guys to like the video and also subscribe to the channel and turn on notifications so you never miss an upload. And if you guys love college football, then you will love this channel because we upload daily college football content and we basically cover everything on this channel. So definitely consider subscribing. And also consider joining my Discord server down in the description below. But anyways, without further ado, let's get into the video. Last season, the Memphis Tigers finished the season with a 10-3 record. They were a very solid team in 2023, and it makes sense for why a lot of people have high expectations for this team in 2024. And the group of 5 will get a guaranteed spot in the 12-team playoffs next season. And with more teams leaving the group of 5 for the Power 4, the group of 5 will be more open for any teams to make the playoffs. And there's a couple teams that are going to be the top contenders for the playoffs out of the group of 5. And I would say the 3 most realistic teams to make the playoffs from the group of 5, to me at least, is Boise State, Tulane, and also Memphis, because Memphis is returning a bunch of talent. But we will need to see the defense take their next step if they want to win the American Conference and if they want to make the playoffs, because the defense was really bad in 2023. But they will have a new defensive coordinator going forward. So we'll see if we can see some improvement from the defense in 2024. But let's start predicting their games, and the first game of the season will be a home game against FCS North Alabama. This definitely should be a win for Memphis. This is kind of like the warm-up game for Memphis on the season, and they do open the season playing a bad FCS team. So I think this is almost a guaranteed 1-0 start for the Memphis Tigers. Anytime an FBS team plays an FCS team, 99.9% of the time the FBS team will win. And unless something crazy happens, Memphis will win this game very easily. So I have Memphis starting the season 1-0. The next game for Memphis football will be a home game against Troy. And if these teams played last season, it probably would have been a lot closer of a game, and it would have been a fun one. Troy was a pretty solid team last year, and they had a really good defense. But next season could be a different story for Troy football, because they lost a bunch of talent, and they also lost a lot of production on defense. So I do expect Troy to take a big step down, so I think Memphis will win this game probably by a couple of touchdowns. I like this Memphis team, and they were very solid this past season, and I expect Memphis football to be very good again, and I don't think they will lose to Troy. So I do have Memphis football moving to 2-0 on the season. The next game for Memphis will be their first away game, and they will play Florida State on the road. And this game honestly hasn't been talked about enough. This is possibly a matchup of 2 teams who will make the playoffs, and this could be a ranked matchup with a lot on the line. Florida State lost a decent amount of talent, but they have done really good at bringing in talented players from the transfer portal and recruiting. And I think this Florida State team is always going to be a top contender with Mike Novella at head coach. This game could be a very close game. There's still questions on defense for Memphis football, and I think their defense will hold them back in this game, and it's going to be hard to beat a motivated team like Florida State. So I definitely think Florida State wins this game on the road. And I think Florida State will just be the more talented team, so I have Memphis losing their first game on the season, and I have Memphis moving to 2-1. The next game for Memphis will be a home game against Middle Tennessee. This should be a very easy non-conference game for Memphis. Middle Tennessee was a pretty bad team last season, and they didn't return much production either. And they could possibly be even worse. Middle Tennessee is honestly a team that I forgot was at the FBS level, and I really don't see Memphis losing a game like this. But it's college football, and crazy stuff happens, so you never know. But if I'm being realistic, there's no way Middle Tennessee wins this game, so I have Memphis winning this game and moving to 3-1 on the season. And after this game, Memphis will start conference play, and none of the dates have been announced yet for conference play, so the schedule is kind of all over the place, but I will just go through the home games and then I'll go through the away games. And the next game for Memphis will be a home game against UAB. UAB actually will be returning a lot of offensive talent, and they should have a very good offense, but their defense was atrocious last season, and they went 4-8, so I don't think they will beat Memphis. But this could be a closer game depending on how much better UAB will be. But UAB has a big hole to dig themselves out of to beat a team like Memphis, and I think Memphis should definitely win this game. So I have Memphis moving to 4-1 on the season. The next game for Memphis on the season will be a home game against Charlotte, and similar to UAB, Charlotte is just a bad group of 5 team, and there's not much to say about this Charlotte team. I guess I could say that they had a solid defense in 2023, but they are just all around a terrible team, and they don't know how to put points on the board. And I don't see Charlotte beating Memphis. So I have Memphis winning another easy game and moving to 5-1 on the season. The next game for Memphis football will be a home game against North Texas. The only thing North Texas really had going for them in 2023 was that they had a pretty good offense, but they did lose a lot of talent on offense, and I don't expect this North Texas team to be much better. But last season they were a field goal away from beating Memphis. So maybe this turns into a close game, but regardless, I think Memphis gets the job done and wins this game pretty easily. So I have Memphis moving to 6-1 on the season, keeping their winning streak alive. The next game for Memphis football in 2024 will be their last home game, and it will be a game against Rice. And I know I have joked about how bad Rice football is in my recent videos, but Rice actually is returning just about everybody on defense, and they went 6-7 last season, and they made a bowl game in 2023, and they also made a bowl game in 2022. This Rice team could potentially be really solid. It's really hard to follow these group of 5 teams that are very average pro games, and they don't get a lot of national attention, but Rice could potentially be a decent team, and they could possibly win 8 or more games, but I still do have Memphis winning their last home game, and I have them moving to 7-1 on the season, making them undefeated in their home games on the season. But let's move on to the conference away games for Memphis, and the next game for Memphis football will be on the road against Navy. And honestly, I think this is a potential game that Memphis football will lose, and I do think this will be a closer game than people expect. Memphis barely beat Navy last season, and they had that game at home, and next season they will play Navy on the road, and Navy could be better with some of the talent they're returning on defense. I don't think Navy will be a very good team, but I think Navy is one of those average teams that Memphis will struggle with, definitely since this game is on the road. But I still think Memphis somehow sneaks out a win in this game. But I believe this could be a very sloppy game that puts Memphis out of their comfort zone. But I still do have Memphis keeping their winning streak alive and moving to 8-1 on the season with a tough win on the road in this game. But from here on out, their schedule is going to get very difficult. And like I said, the dates haven't been announced yet, so these games probably are in the right order. But the next game for Memphis will be on the road against Tulane. And I know a bunch of people are thinking that this Tulane team will fall off because of the talent they lost and also the fact that they have a new head coach going forward. But I still think this Tulane team will be very good, and they should have a very good offense with the additions that they made in the transfer portal. And they could possibly be even better than they were this past season. And I think Memphis versus Tulane will be a 50-50 toss-up game. But I do think Memphis will lose their first conference game on the road against Tulane because I think home field advantage gives Tulane the edge in this game. So I do have Memphis losing a very close game and moving to 8-2 on the season. The next game for Memphis football will be on the road against South Florida. And I think this is a game that Memphis will probably be favorites in, but I also think this is a potential trap game. Raymond James Stadium is a very difficult place to play, and South Florida has a lot of positives going forward. They finished the season with a dominant bowl game win against Syracuse, and South Florida is returning a bunch of talent next season on offense. They have a very young team, and they have a very solid quarterback going forward who can run the ball and pass the ball very well, and he's going to be a sophomore next season, and he could be a potential great leader for this team. I think South Florida will have a very good offense next season, but the defense is still a concern, and if this game was at Memphis Stadium, I would have picked Memphis to win this game, but Memphis has their 2 toughest conference games on the road. So I have South Florida pulling out the upset and beating Memphis, so I have Memphis moving to 8-3 on the season after a heartbreaking loss on the road. The last game for Memphis on their 2024 schedule is also another tough road game, and it's against UTSA, but I do think Memphis will win this game, because UTSA lost a lot of talent. And I do think Memphis has a bunch more talent than this UTSA team has. And UTSA has been slowly falling off, so this should definitely be a win for Memphis football. So I have Memphis finishing the season with a 9-3 record, which would be the same record that they had the last regular season. I think their schedule will set up for some difficult trap games, and I know a lot of people are very high on this Memphis team, but I think Tulane will be better than Memphis. And I also think Memphis has a pretty tough schedule. They play Florida State on the road, and their conference schedule has some tough road games on it. I don't see Memphis finishing any worse than 9-3. They could very well go 10-2, and I do think Memphis will be a very solid team, so they could possibly make the playoffs, and maybe they play Tulane in the conference championship rematch, and maybe they win the conference championship and make the 12-team playoffs. I guess we'll have to wait and find out, because I still have to give all my conference predictions and 12-team playoff predictions after I go through all my schedule predictions. But anyways, I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Be sure to like the video and also subscribe to the channel and turn on notifications so you never miss an upload. And if you guys love college football, then you will love this channel, because we upload daily college football content and we basically cover everything on this channel, so definitely consider subscribing. And also consider joining my Discord server down in the description below. But that's going to do it, guys, and peace out.